Hi, good evening, everyone. Just waiting for Adam to come on. He's got the link. This happens from time to time. We started at 8 o'clock and we're waiting. In the meantime, you got to see what's going on behind me here. Chris is trying to set up the TV with her laptop so we can see the comments bigger on the TV. There's a whole show going on back there that you guys have no access to. I wish I could show you. But anyway, hopefully Adam will be on in a few minutes. It's only 8:02. So I'll just fill some time and talk about what we're doing, what we have coming up. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're New Jersey Paranormal. I'm John. Chris is my wife. She's over there doing what she's doing. We do paranormal events throughout the year in New Jersey. Adam's actually joining us for one in September, I believe September 27th at the Sterling Hill Mine in Ogdenburg, New Jersey. Very, very cool place. Tickets are available for that.
I don't have HDMI.
On the Adam Berry website. So you can get tickets to that. And it's a meet and greet with Adam. It's a ghost hunt at the Sterling Hill Mine, which is very, very haunted. Over 300 people died in that mine. I don't know if the ghost hunting tickets sold out or he just has the meet and greet tickets available for that. Something we're going to have to talk about when he comes on with us. I also know he's doing something at Liberty Hall, which is another place that we do events at. I think he's doing it the night before. He's just doing a walkthrough of the mansion and telling ghost stories, and I think talking about the paranormal stuff that goes on there. I think he's doing that as well. But we also host events throughout September and October. We just started listing all of them recently. So if you follow us on social media, especially here on Facebook or on Instagram, you'll see all the events that we do where you get to join us and go inside these cool buildings in Jersey that are haunted. And we use different techniques, different methods. And the buildings we have are pretty cool. They're kind of scattered throughout Jersey. This is Chris.
Hey.
My wife. Not our special guest, but one of A special guest, no less.
I'm special, all right. Fortunately, I did not get the thing to work out that I really wanted to, so I have to improvise here. We are,
again, hopefully Adam jumps on in a few minutes. If not, I'm going to have to reach out to him and come back. Adam's used StreamYard before. He's been on with us at least a few times. And if I showed you the notes that I have for this interview that he obviously isn't aware of because he's not here yet, I have stuff written down on this notebook. And then I have my laptop here in front of me with like tons. Probably can't see it.
No, I see just white screen.
Thank you. There's tons of notes there. And Chris has
none.
No notes.
Because Chris didn't listen to the audio. No.
You can help though. You'll help.
There he is.
All right. So Adam's here just in time. Or we would have rang the bell.
From me.
Hi.
So we are live already, Adam. You just jumped in.
That's fine. Did you get my message on Facebook?
No.
Did you get message? Oh, I had a power surge and I had to reset everything in my
Uh-oh. He just froze.
Adam, just so you know, if you could hear me, you're like this on our screen. There you go.
Okay, we're good. Listen, I texted you. It's so great. It's all paranormal. I texted you and was like, I have no power. I'll be right back. I don't know what's happening.
Well, and we're having problems on our end because usually we do AirPlay and we put it on the TV so we can read the comments because we're old and we can't see small writing, and none of that's working. But you're here, and we're grateful that you're here.
We're here. Listen, I'm excited. I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a little while since we've seen you. I did keep my word. I'm not a reader. I used to read when I was younger. I love Stephen King. I read everything Stephen King has written.
Yeah.
But anything else, I'm not a reader. So audiobook. Thank God for audiobooks. I don't want to put this the wrong way, but you were with me in the shower. You were with me when I was walking my dog. You were with me in the car. Adam Berry.
Sounds like a stalker. It sounds like a stalker.
Adam after hour of Adam Berry just talking about his book. And I could not wait for this because I don't know if you remember when we last had a discussion here, we kind of were delving into a little bit of this and we didn't even know about your book. And you just kept saying, that's in my book. Yeah. That's in my book.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of here on my page and I've got a bunch of notes in front of me on my laptop and we're going to go down the rabbit hole. I don't want to give away the whole book, but I really want to touch on different things that are in there and just, talk about each one of them.
For sure. I'm excited. Because I remember, I think you and I, here's the thing. I think right after I announced the book, we did one of these and we talked, we were skirting all the issues.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to give away too much because the book had not come out yet. But the book's out now. It's in paperback. So there's even a chapter that you don't know about because it's not on the audiobook.
Oh.
And because we added a chapter 13 to the paperback, and there's a workbook journal in the paperback that has prompt questions that I created for each topic of every chapter. So you can, look at those questions, read the chapter, look at the questions, and then write like a journal in the back of the book to like better understand your own feelings about it. But we didn't get to scratch the surface. So I'm very excited that we get to do this stuff.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I've met you a bunch of times through the New Jersey Power Unity Expo. Shameless plug, everyone, coming up November 8th in
Let's go.
Jersey.
Come on, y'all.
Adam will be there. Amy will be there. Chip will be there. But we never really talk about this stuff until here when we talked about it a little bit before. And reading the book, I got a really good insight into how you feel about certain things, and I like that because I enjoy talking to different people. You must, as a researcher or investigator as well, perspectives, different attitudes, different beliefs, all of that just is more stuff that you put in your toolbox, and you just adopt people's theories and ideas, maybe that kind of jive with your own a little bit. And again, I got a lot of that out of your book. So we had talked about your first paranormal experience. You mentioned Gettysburg, but you said it wasn't in Gettysburg. You were going to talk about it in the book.
Oh, right. My first experience was the dog, and I don't know. I mean, so I talked about Gettysburg in the book. Like, that's how we sort of started, right? Because that was the biggest penultimate moment for me as someone who was interested in the paranormal. It was something that we all experience where we can't quite explain, and it sort of pushes us over the edge to be like, I need to understand a little bit more what that means. But my first ever paranormal experience was with a ghost dog, believe it or not. And so two things that does for me. Ghosts, the fact that animals can live on past their existence on this earth makes me so happy. Having animals that have passed on, and I know that you're dealing with a thing, and it makes you really very sad. And like, so like the idea that it was a ghost dog. I woke up when I was in fourth grade. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I heard a dog walking around my room, and we had hardwood floors, and we didn't own a dog, and it would scratch on the bathroom door, and it would walk into the room. And then when it got to the end of the bed, the TV, it was one of those, like, I'm dating myself, but you'll understand. It was one of those TVs where like you had to push the knob in and it would go off and then it would glow a little bit.
There's no way you're that old.
Like, that's the TV I had. Wow. I watched everything on there. Damn. And so maybe it was passed down, but like this was I mean,
your parents bought that at an antique shop. And
no. I mean, let's think about it. Let's see. Fourth grade. How old are you in fourth grade? 6, 7, 8. You're 10 years old. This was 93. So this is probably my parents' first TV. I watched everything on there. I watched Mark on Mondays, Lucy Tuesdays, Bewitched Be Wednesdays, Dragnet Thursdays, or Dragnet Fridays. Come on, Bullwinkle. Like, I watched all of those things.
All of them.
So when the sound of the dog got to the TV would glow and then it would dissipate. And it repeated. It like scratched on the bathroom wall, on the bathroom door outside of my room. It would walk in. You could hear the little clip, 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 like the nails and the like the dangles. And then it would glow. And it kept repeating and kept repeating and kept repeating. And as a kid, I was like, what is this? And I tried to rationalize it. I was like, what is it? My aunt is in town because she had a dog and sometimes she would stay over, but I don't see a dog and I'm not.
Yeah, I saw it.
What just happened?
You must have that same TV because the glow.
Hold on. My light.
Yeah, the dim just went out.
This isn't going well. My light dies. My ring light of death died. It's not going well. This is not going well. But in any case, I'm gonna put this back in its little alien slot. Go. Okay.
But at that point, not to interject, did you share a room with your brother? I know you have a brother.
Yeah.
Wasn't it odd that your brother? Nothing, right?
He didn't wake up. Well, no, he was 6 years old at the time, and he didn't wake up. And I remember looking over and he was sound asleep. And so I felt the need to sort of figure out what this was on my own. And I remember sitting up, experiencing this thing. It was repeating, and I rationalized it and I couldn't figure it out. And then all of a sudden it became very weird. Like, what is happening? I don't understand it. And I remember gripping the side of the blankets because I was sitting, and I remember gripping the side of the blankets. And I just went, stop! And then all of a sudden, it completely stopped. Like, the sound completely stopped. No more scratching, no more walking, no more TV glowing. and there was this weird sense of calm that came over me, and I basically just fell back to sleep. I just went back to sleep. And my mother talks about this because, you know, the day after and like the few days after, I'd be like, there's this ghost dog, Mom. And it wasn't until I wrote the book where I was interviewing her about moments of my childhood and the house being haunted and them not telling us and all of this stuff. And she goes, well, I never really took you seriously until you started talking about that damn ghost dog. I just didn't. She like she's like Chip Coffee. I didn't take you seriously until you talked about that ghost dog, you know? and like she didn't. And like, that was my very first paranormal experience. And I think what I love about it, looking back now as a researcher and someone who's been doing this for a long time, is that it was an animal rather than a physical person. It was, and so that right there checks a ton of boxes for me. It's like, yes, they can still be around. People always talk about, oh, I feel a cat sitting in the bed impression, or like a dog, or like I hear, and I'm like, yeah, of course they would. Like, why wouldn't they be around if they couldn't? Yeah. You know?
You know what's funny? You did the Chip Coffee thing. Why I'm listening to the audiobook, because you know that we know Chip, and Chip, you know, he performed our wedding for us. You literally do him.
By the way, congratulations. Hello.
But you literally do him perfect. When you are doing him in the audiobook, I am picturing that man right in front of me saying those exact words.
I was in the kitchen when he was in the bathroom, and when you did your voice, I thought Chip was talking in your book.
Even the Chip isms, like the F and the B, and there's words in there that if you know Chip, Chip will tell you, I'll cut a B. You know, he'll say that all the time.
He's like, me,
I'll cut a B.
Well, and the thing is I wanted to make sure. Well, when I was reading the book, I was like, how far do I go with my friends? But the thing is, it makes sense to me. Like when Steve is like, hey man, I feel like I want, like, that's how he sounds. And like, I mean, I didn't do Amy. I think I like raised the octave of my voice, but it's hard to do Amy Bruni. But Chip is a character in his own right, and he's you know, I love him to death. And so one of my favorite things on Kindred Spirits, and this is an egg, this is like a Easter egg if anyone ever. So there's the episode of Lost Amy. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. There's the episode of Lost Amy. It's called Lost Amy, where the Boo Buddy, we're sitting there, the Boo Buddy goes off because we're interacting with the child, the spirit of a child. And Chip says, something just touched that bear. And we thought it was, Amy and I thought it was so funny in the moment, but we're not laughing because it's a very serious thing. But he was like, something just touched that bear. And he was like freaking out about the bear. Yeah. Something just touched that bear. Okay. And he's freaking out, and we're like freaking. So if you fast forward to Linville Manor episode, I'm sitting with Amy in a room, and we're using Boo Buddy, and the bear gets touched, and I go, something just touched that bear. I literally put my hand up on my mouth so you can't see that and they cut to Amy, and she's like trying not to laugh. Because it was a thing that we talked about, like something just touched that bear. Something just touched that bear. And I remember saying that, and it literally shows, if you guys know the episodes as much as some of you do, like I'm literally going, something just touched that bear.
I'm sure he loved that.
And they cut it away. No, he wasn't. Well, that was the time when Chip was, I think it was, he was videoing in from home. Okay. And so he wasn't there for the episode, but believe me, that phrase like sits with me.
Wait till I talk to him again. I'm gonna.
No, he'll love it. It's one of those things, like, because we have our Chipisms, right? We have our he has things, he has things.
I know.
And like,
trust me.
And something just touched that bear. I said it. I was like, something just touched that bear, and she got it. She got it instantly, and I was like, I can't laugh. This is a serious moment.
That is funny. So back to the early days. You had mentioned that you would go into cemeteries and that you would read the headstones, and you would think of it as kind of channeling
Yeah.
type of thing. Could you I completely believe in the theory of channeling, and we'll get into more of that later on because there's a lot of more references to that sort of thing in your book.
Yeah.
What gave you what made you even want to go in there and even do that? Were you just curious, or did you think you could actually talk to them? Or
Yeah. So I've always believed that, like, so cemeteries are very special. I think they're very. I find them very peaceful. I find them very beautiful at times.
this is going to be a rough one. There goes the bear.
The bear got touched.
The bear got
Hold
Adam.
on.
The bear got Adam.
My power just went out.
Yeah.
Will you? Ben's like screaming. Will you flip it? Oh my God! I hope this doesn't happen. I'm gonna have to like. Okay, wait. Can I take 2 seconds? I need
Sure.
to change something.
I told you not to talk
amongst
about
yourselves.
Chip.
I know it's his fault.
He's watching.
This house is clean. I can hear you, but hold on.
All right. So anyway, I'll go back over the event that we are doing, like a commercial break. Adam is doing an event at the Sterling Hill Mine in Ogdenburg, New Jersey.
There you go, right there.
This was an active mine from the late 1600s to 1986. Many people died in that mine. There's a lot of activity in the mine and surrounding buildings. Adam's going to be there. He was there with Kindred Spirits. They did an episode there, but this will be his first time actually being there and kind of investigating and doing a meet and greet and investigating with the people that attend. So I don't know how many tickets are left for the actual ghost hunt, but I know there are meet and greet tickets where you can still
VIP. We call it VIP. He has VIP tickets.
Yeah, I don't know how many of those he has left. We'll talk about that when he comes back. And I do know that he's also going to be in Jersey for Liberty Hall as well. I don't know. I know it's in September. I think it's the day before. But you can meet him, Adam, Amy, a lot of other people at the New Jersey
Chip.
Power Unity Expo. Chip will be there with his bear. November 8th. That's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are VIP parties Friday night and Saturday night. I believe Adam and Amy are going to be Saturday night party, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
you
The
get good
Saturday
at
night VIP.
NewJerseyPowerUnityExpo.com. I'm listening to all the banging and the noise going on in there. And
Tina says we'll be there for the Sterling Hill Mine event. By the way, Tina, I had a card for you that got sent back to me that I'm going to give to you when I see you.
we good? Oh, that rickety
Okay.
rock going on back there?
Yeah, the thing fell. Everything's fine. What I did is I just turned off this, and I hope to God nothing else happens. I heard what you were saying. So Sterling Hill Mine, VIP is sold out.
Okay.
However, because I knew that I was doing this with you guys, there's a special code NJP, New Jersey Paranormal. If you use that code at Sterling Hill Mine, you get, I think it's $15 off general admission tickets.
Oh, sweet.
And also you get 10% off the Liberty Hall tickets, which is the night before.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did that is because Liberty Hall is just my talk. Like not even, it's This Haunted Life, True Tales of the Paranormal. So it's sort of campfire stories that I tell from my real experience.
We love that building. That building's awesome.
Yeah. And and a lot of those stories aren't on Kindred Spirits. They're personal stories that I've had about things in my life that are told in a campfire format.
Oh,
It'll get you in the mood for spooky season. There are VIP tickets to like tour the house prior with the docents there, Rachel and all those wonderful people, with myself. But that's the night before. And then the night after, we get to go and investigate. So almost like it's like a double header. You could do both if you wanted, but there is a discount on both events because I knew that I was doing this. And I said I should make it special for people that are watching. So the code is NJP. I wish I could do, I think that's N. I don't know what J is. I forget P, but like NJP.
You got the end. That's good enough.
N A B C D E F Gee, I don't know.
Try.
So where do
basi-
they find tickets for either?
Oh, if they go to adamberryevents.com, they can get tickets for both events. Again, the VIP is sold out for Sterling Hill because that was like went immediately. But there's still a lot of tickets left, and I think it's going to be a really good time. I know you just did the event with Katrina, and I saw all the
Great
posts
time.
about that, and it was
Great time.
yeah. And people are like, I can always judge a location by the boosted ads that I do and the comments that are made on the posts, and like
Right.
people are like, oh, I love this place. This place is historic, and yeah, when we went there for Kindred Spirits, we had a really great time. I think at one point, actually, the entire all the power went out in the mine itself, like as a fluke. And the guy that was working there was like, "We have zero clue why this happened." Which I'm not gonna say it's paranormal, but it was still crazy to be in a mine and you have zero power. And if I didn't have a flashlight, who
Oh my God.
knows?
You
I
can
could have been
Zero
talking
visibility.
beyond. It's crazy. And then I loved the fact, I did get to explore a little bit of like the phosphorescent, the uranium, I think their uranium stuff. But like, I didn't get to hang out a lot there because our focus was on certain different things. So I'm very excited to get back there to see that hunky muscular statue again. Fine. I'll
there's a
see
picture
it.
of that. I have that somewhere. I can find it.
I'll see it. So in any case, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait. It's the end of September. Both of these events are back to back, and we're kicking off Halloween season in New Jersey for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great time with Adam. Whenever we work with Adam, it was been at Liberty Hall before. We had a great time there, and the mine is awesome. And you guys who are coming are going to love it. And even if you got just the admission, general admission, you'd still enjoy just going and touring and looking at the place and taking pictures and meeting Adam.
And when we were
really
there
cool.
this past Saturday, while we were in there, an earthquake happened and it ratcheted up the activity.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, lots
oh my
of
God.
those in Jersey.
So that's cool because we can reference that activity. We can reference that moment when we go back to see if they remember it, which will be interesting.
All right, let's get back to the book because we're going to be like 3 hours here.
Hey, come on.
One thing that really interests me, another thing that interests me, but we were talking about the cemetery and why you were going there and why you were trying to initially. I don't want to say your words. What I read in the book.
So basically, I love cemeteries. I think they're beautiful. I think they have there's a lot of history in that. And it takes 3 generations. Native Americans say that there's a Native American saying that says it takes 3 generations for you to be forgotten. And so the idea in walking in a cemetery, and especially a very old one, and looking at the epitaphs and reading the names, reading the dates out loud in front of the grave itself, it sort of, in my opinion, brings them back to life for a moment. It's almost like seeing an epitaph, reading out loud, knowing if you know any sort of historical facts about the time period in which they lived, you could talk about that. But in an instant, they're not forgotten. Like in an instant, someone has said their name. And so I always encourage people to go into cemeteries, and if you like that sort of thing, and walk around and read the names and read the epitaphs, because you don't have to spend too much time, but immediately they've been brought back to life. Like they are living right there in front of you.
And I like that idea a lot for a couple of reasons, because the 3 generation thing it really got to me, because again, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking and I'm listening to you speak, and my mom's urn is literally right over there. And that means something to me, of course, as my mother. It'll mean something to my daughter and my son, but beyond that, who was that urn really going to matter to? And my fear is what's going to happen to my mom's ashes if I don't spread them or somebody doesn't. They will be where? In an antique shop, in some haunted object museum.
You know what? I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And my thing is, it comes down is, does it become your responsibility at some point to make peace with those ashes?
Right.
so that it is not, I'm going to say burden, but that's not the word.
No.
So that it is not something that other people have to take care of.
Right.
And do you
who
feel
really
more
aren't
comfortable?
invested emotionally?
Exactly. And do you feel more comfortable in the idea that like you've given your mother someone who is not going to be any closer to her than you?
Right.
That sort of send off, situation. It's a difficult thing to sort of think about
Right.
because
Well-
it's the idea of letting go.
It is 100%.
But-
And to go
Yeah.
towards that statement, my living daughter has the ashes of my deceased daughter because they were super
Yeah.
close. With the understanding that when she is done processing her loss, that we will get together and spread them in my deceased daughter's favorite spot.
Yeah. I mean, and that's true. I mean, do you have does your mother and your daughter, do they have a headstone anywhere just to represent like it's
No.
so that's yeah.
So
How does
that's
that-
my fear is that
Well, I mean,
eventually-
right, and that's also like I always think about that. People are like, do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried? And
it's
I
tough.
don't think I necessarily care either way, but I know that I want a spot of reverence. Like I know I want a tombstone, a headstone.
I think everybody really wants
Nobody
that,
wants to be
but
forgotten.
I mean, again, money factors into
Yeah.
some people.
100%.
But along those same lines, as paranormal theory goes, as you say about bringing them back for a minute because you're talking about them, you're talking about their life or whatever's written on the headstone. I was listening to this musician talk about how our memories are like ghosts in our mind, like living ghosts. We can reference, we can go back. And I think photographs are sort of that too, no matter who it is. I know we're going to get into your dog, my family members, my mother, my sister. Anytime I go back, and I look at those
like,
pictures.
Who are these? Like, I have no idea who these people are, but I wanted to save them. Like, I don't know. I have zero clue who their names are. I don't know who they are.
Right.
They're no longer here with us, but like, I totally agree. It's like one of those
But
things.
even when it's our own, that we,
Yep.
I could look at pictures of my mom and I'm in that moment. That memory is boom, it's there. It's almost like clicking on a file. And I think with spirits, in theory, like you said, if you reach out and you humanize them and you're talking about their lives and their families and personalizing and humanizing it, I think you can tap into that frequency of just the same, like looking at a picture and a memory. I think you're kind of there. They may not be there all the time, but maybe you did bring them in just for the moment by referencing those things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, I mean, if we're all made up of energy, if we're all dealing with the same thing, in that split second moment that you bring them back, you have the power to bring them back to life. They're no longer forgotten. Whether they know it or not, you know it, and your energy is still living and viable, and it's connected to everything else. So why not?
Again, when you go down the rabbit hole of the paranormal, and that's why I said, that's what I like about your book so much, is that it's like a flow chart in that question underneath more questions. There aren't many answers to fill in, and on the top, it all spiders off to more questions. And I like that you mentioned, you said about, you talk about religion. You were raised religious, and yet being someone who's a gay male, that you were
what?
Well,
who said that?
I'm sorry.
What? Rumors?
Are the lights going to go out again?
Rumors.
But you were.
That's a rumor. That's a rumor.
But you were referencing the fact that how religion kind of treats that, and it made you question the very foundation of the religion that you were kind of brought up with. And that affects everything like a domino. Your belief in God, spirits, angels, the afterlife.
Yeah, 100%. So my thing is, the religion and ghost chapter was originally, I think, chapter 11 or something. And Julie and I, when we were, she helped me put the book together. When we were working on it, we both instantly knew that this chapter was too much. It was too important for it to be at the end. Right. Because when we started the book, believe me, I cut out so much memoir stuff because my publisher was like, you know what, this is not the memoir, right, yet. So chapters 1, 2, and 3 and 4 is a lot of like getting into the meat of the material.
Right.
And then we get into it rather quickly because we cut out a bunch of stuff about, I don't know, what I ate on a Thursday. Who knows? And then and then we were like, oh no, we want to like start with a bang. And so the religious chapter to me was the most important chapter for myself. I grew up religious I was Southern Baptist. I grew up in a time in the 90s where I started hearing sermons about myself and my sexuality that was, like they were boycotting Disney. Every sermon that I went to on a Sunday dealt with some sort of gay something, LGBTQ something, and they were against it. And I remember at that moment being like, this is not the place for me, right? Like I love the connection to a higher power, higher being. I love the community that I'm around, but this isn't for me. And so I went to church continuously for my grandmother because I wanted to spend time with her. That was the time that we got together. It was just us, which was wonderful and beautiful. And I did it for her. And then I left for college. And then when I got into this paranormal stuff, into researching the paranormal and being more of it didn't happen until you become more of a public figure. And I'm sure you feel this same way. Like once you put yourself out there in the paranormal and you're talking about it, you get DMs and messages from people who are like, you are only talking to demons. Everything that you are doing is like against God and against God. Yeah. And I have anxiety. And so there's those weird, 2 a.m. moments where you can't sleep or you've woken up and you think about what you did when you were 6 and you get real mad about and it's like, I started feeling like, what if they're right? Like, especially when I was on Ghost Hunters Academy and Ghost Hunters, there were moments where I was like, well, what if they are right? What if I am wrong? And what if, and I would always push it off to the side, but I decided in this book, I wanted to really research it and find out what it meant. And so I found this amazing clergyman in the UK who also is into the paranormal, whose entire, he has an incredible book. And if I could remember it right now, I would tell you, I think I talk about it. Maybe I don't know if I mentioned it in the book.
I believe you do.
Okay, it's incredible. And like I got a chance to interview him for the book and he was totally more than willing to talk to me. And it was at that moment that I knew and finally understood from a base standpoint, from a standpoint of like, I'm standing on truth, that I wasn't wrong, that like, if you read the book, you'll find out a lot of things, but it's a lot about, if you believe the Bible and you believe the teachings of Jesus Christ, he never said ghosts don't exist ever once. And he had opportunities to do so. And I laid those out based on his research and his testimony of what he's learned. And it's so, it's just mind opening. And it makes me feel better about what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, ghosts have been around since the beginning of time. And he never said ghosts don't exist. He just said, I am not a ghost. I am a divine being. Ghosts don't walk on water, And I talk about the idea that the Bible talks about psychics and soothsayers and even kings that were in charge at the time went out looking for answers from psychics in which they had banished from the community. But yet they went to go find them again to find out answers about things they don't understand. So I think what we all do is set in a time period. It is rooted in a history that far precedes anything we could understand. I mean, back then, I feel like, 2,500 years ago, when these events took place, if you believe in the Bible, it's literally nobody questioned any of the things that were happening. It was just happening, right? And it gave me, that whole entire chapter gave me so much I don't know, ease of mind about what I was doing. And now my 2 a.m. frets are about other things and not.
No, I enjoyed that chapter because again, you're being open and honest, and like you said, you were looking for reasons for the opposing argument,
Mhm.
and I'm listening to that and I'm thinking again, here's someone. This is what fascinates me about the paranormal is that you can be born in one way and you're raised by your parents to be a certain way because that's how they
Yeah,
were
yeah,
raised,
for
and
sure.
these are their beliefs. But anyone in their paranormal journey, they kind of grow, they meet people, they learn different
They
things,
expand.
they're exposed to different things, they have experiences, and all of a sudden that path just kind of veers off and we become a whole different person with
Yeah,
different.
I mean, if you look in that chapter, I talk about Greg Newkirk, who
Right,
was the son of a preacher,
exactly,
right?
yeah,
And like he got into paranormal because he thought he could balance the idea of looking for the afterlife and what his father wanted him to be and do, and it just it worked out for him pretty well, I will say. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like he found a way in to sort of be like, oh, but yeah, but aren't we going to talk? Let's talk about these things. And like, if aliens are real, didn't God make those aliens?
I
Like,
had that
you
conversation
know,
today with somebody who's super religious, and I don't want to go again too far down the rabbit hole, but
sure,
this
sure, sure,
person
sure.
is so devout. And
Yeah.
we had that conversation of, well, if you believe in a higher being who's created everything, then yes, if there are aliens, which we all think there are, God created
Yeah,
all of it. And it wasn't just a
yeah,
happenstance on one blue marble, it's probably everywhere, not just
yeah,
here.
yeah. It's
So, it,
yeah, yeah. It's also, yeah, yeah. Yes, I agree.
yeah. So, you brought up one thing. There was one case, I believe it was Waverly Hills, where you said you were in, I think it was Waverly Hills. Well, you were in one section on Ghost Hunters where they didn't allow people in yet, and there were the
Mhm.
nuns were there, and
The nurses,
the
yeah.
nurses, yeah, the nurses were there, and that you could kind of hear the knocking around
Mhm.
at different times. And you mentioned again saying prayers a lot to try to comfort,
Mhm.
and you make a point of saying that, and I like this too as well. You don't technically stick to, I'm just saying, a Catholic prayer. You know, I know there are other religions and I know people believe in other, but you will say kind of a general
Mhm.
prayer that kind of fits everything. The meaning is still the same no matter who is listening. And
Yeah.
you had done that in, but my thing is when it comes to paranormal, and you bring this up as well in the book, you can't assume that every spirit is a religious person.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
such people kind of try to paint with that brush a lot, but I'm really not. So if you came
Yeah.
in the building that I was in and you, our father, this, and I would just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I never. I mean, the whole thing around that is like, I never talk religion ever when I'm talking to ghosts, like ever,
okay,
just because that's not the same. I mean, that's not the point, right? Like, I'm there to connect with you as a human being. But if you bring up religion, if the spirit brings up religion,
okay,
and they did at Waverly, they said, we asked, do you want prayer? Sometimes we do
right,
that because there are questions and you're like, do you want prayer? And if it's like, yes. And it was like, I
right,
was like, are you sure? Yes. Right. I pray a non-denominational prayer in which I say God as a whole, as an entity,
right,
right? I don't begin to understand what religion they are.
right,
And then I say, I talk about things like God, make it easy on them, give them light, make it better for them. Like, I talk about hope and journey and continuance. And then for instance, if we do know their religion, like when we did uh, a couple of cases where Native American spirits are involved,
right,
then we are not going to pray for them. We are going to bring in someone who knows how to connect with them on a religious level and offer a blessing of some
right,
kind to them from that religion. So if we knew they were practice Judaism, we would
right,
have someone come in. or
Right.
Catholic. Sure, we'll have someone come in, but I think universal God we can all understand. And
Right.
if that, and you look at different time periods, right? Like through our entire existence, I mean, up until, I mean, maybe the 80s, 90s, people were pretty religious. I mean, they just had faith in something, right? They grew up Catholic, they grew up Protestant, they grew up something, they grew up whatever, right? I grew up Baptist. So if you pass and you still have that belief, you're going to understand a prayer that is like, God is here and with you. Please help them on the journey in which they're on, right? And when we did that at Waverly, what was so interesting was that we asked if they wanted it, and it was immediate. Knox immediately yes. Knox immediately yes. While we were saying our prayer, it was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. There were no knocks. There was no activity. There was no sound, which means, as an investigator, it's not a naturally occurring thing. It's not raindrops. It's not a mouse. They are listening intently.
Right.
And as soon as we said, amen, amen, knock, 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 knock. Almost like to say, thank you for that, right?
Mhm.
A friend of mine who works with the Catholic Church said to me one time that his belief, and maybe some Catholics believe this, but you gain points in the afterlife, and some of those points come from prayer, right?
Okay.
Or remembrance, and at some point, he says points, but like he means, you know, and at some point, that coffer is filled up enough where you go on to the next journey, right? So I don't know if that was the case, but they really appreciated it. And we've done that a couple of times on Kindred, where there was the lady, the old lady who was in the attic of the executioner's house, the guy who invented the electric chair, and people were investigating and they were a bit rude. And we found out that it was her, and I prayed for her, just not for her to like gain points or like just to let her know that we were on the same level. Like we were on the same level, that we are going to think of you and try to give you everything that you need now as much as we can. And if that's what you want, then please have it.
And that's part of, like you said, humanizing it. You would, and Chip had said this to me as well. And I often think about this as far as the afterlife. Do you believe that we carry over our memories, our emotions, our issues? You think all of that goes with us over there as well?
I mean, from my experience in talking with ghosts, I think it does. I think because we've interacted with spirits who are angry, who have unfinished business, and I sort of think they bring this earthly baggage with them, whether good or bad, into that space.
Yeah, but
but that's such a loaded question, because then it's like, because then it becomes they're operating in a world in which is not made for them, and they're bringing all of this baggage with them. So is the idea that they have to shed that baggage and that other life before they can journey, and the only way to do that is to find understanding between either by themselves or with communication with the living, you know?
And that's a great point. And that's why I brought it up, because hypothetically, if we carried over everything from here to there, why would it be so great there?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I also talk about in my book that like possibly the idea that like we all individually can create our own afterlife.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Right. Meaning that like if you believe that there is a heaven and you're going to walk into a field and you're going to see Jesus and God and your entire family is going to be there, then why can't that be a thing? And if you believe that you're going to pass away and be re-entered into the universe and expand and then come back as something else, you know, because you know, John Tenney talks about his near-death experience where he died and he was in a place that was pitch black, but he knew that he had been there forever and he was a part of everything all at once. And then all of a sudden he was back on Earth. And I'm like, why can't it be that? Like, why can't it be that for you? Like, the idea of heaven and hell is such a religious,
right.
I don't want to say controlling. I just want to say it's a religious idea, and
It's
every
a
religion
concept.
has it. And every religion has its own concept of what
Right.
that is, right? So if you believe that concept,
Right.
then why the hell not? Don't you get it? Well, what's crazy to me, if that is a concept, and you're a Christian, and you're like, there's a heaven and there's a hell, and if I'm good enough, I'll go to heaven. But what happens when you get to the other side, and all of a sudden, you doubt? And you're in hell now. Like, you've put yourself in hell because you've created it your entire life. And now you're in it.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that to me? So I think about it in a lot of different terms. And I would rather, because we talk to ghosts who we've talked to spirits who are like not religious at all. And then we speak to them on the other side and they do believe in heaven and hell. Right. But they give us no further information, or they'll say something like, there are no words to describe what it is like after you go. So I can't physically tell you what that is. And I think it's on purpose, because I think if as the living, we knew all of that information 100%, this world would mean nothing to us. And we would just go about it without trying to be like gain and learn and love and talk. We'd be like, this world sucks. I know for a fact. You'd be like, I know for a fact there's something else that I can get to. This world means nothing. And so I think that is also a reason in which they can't say to us in word form, because they don't want us to forget that this is also a journey, just like the next thing is a journey. You know?
See, I'm sorry. I love that point, because there were three things in there that I wanted to touch on, and you literally covered all three of them.
Check.
The idea of knowing what the afterlife is, because I was going to ask you the question. You bring up a good point. There'll be a lot of times where I ask, what is it like? Tell me what happens right after. And I ask mediums that all the time too. How is it that you're a receiver and you can't go the other way and just answer every question that everyone has? But the fact that you said, I watched a movie, I think it was on Netflix years and years ago. I think Michael Douglas was in it, and he actually invented a way. It was a movie where he could tap into the brain.
I love Michael Douglas.
Where people were dying, and you could see what they were saying, and you could see the transition. The family members came out of the blur, and everyone was happy. Well, right after he proved it scientifically, the number, they had a Times Square number, like the national debt of suicides, every day. People just checking out because they knew something better
on the other side
was awaiting, and they didn't want to deal with this anymore.
So what about the flip side of that? What about the biggest fear of all? Maybe when you're done, you're done.
You're done.
Like when you go to sleep.
Well, listen. Okay, wait, but look. If that's the case, then who fucking cares? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Right. Because if that's the case, then you don't know. You don't know either way. Right.
Yeah, you won't know.
Because the second it happens, it's gone. Right.
But you'd be surprised how many people have that fear.
It's
now.
like the ending of The Sopranos. It's just,
right. Exactly.
Cool.
Which is terrible. And so if you think about it. If you think about it that way, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. I like to hope that there is something based on the idea, hope. And that we research. It's faith also, like paranormal. And I always say, if I could create a 501(c) from paranormal religion, like the religion of the paranormal, which it is. I mean, spiritualism. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. They did. It was a religion, and now we're just continuing the religion, but we're calling it something else. If I could get a 501(c)(3), we could all be a part of that. We'd never pay tax. Well, I mean, come on, we'd be wealthy. Okay, so I mean, I wish there was a way to say, because religion is a paranormal. Paranormal is a religion, It is a belief system. We believe certain things exist, certain things are happening. We have faith that it is occurring, that these things exist. We communicate with those on the other side. We ask for things. We hope for things in return. We spend money on books about it, religion, education. We talk about it. We spend money on equipment to get us closer to God, to our thing that we're looking for. Honestly, it should be a religion. It should be a religion that we can all sort of be a part of and come together. I mean, we do it every time we do an event. We are literally communing with God in a way that is different than other people, but in the exact same way that they're doing it. It is crazy to me that it's not. But I think the idea of what ifs happens always. Even you get the most. I talk about it in my book where I talk about the end of life experience, and then I talk about what people are experiencing and what they're saying. I get very personal with my grandmother and my Ben's grandmother and what they say and what they're seeing. They're seeing people that they haven't seen in years, and they're talking to them. And I think Ben's grandmother said, "Oh, there's the train, but it's not my time yet." And it makes me think of that song, "People get ready, there's a train." Yeah. People get ready, there's a train a coming. Like it's like picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith to board, to have the key to board. It's like there's so many things I believe we already understand as human beings,
right?
But we are always thrown that little bit of doubt, and it which is fine. But like I think that doubt comes from people that want to control what we think and what we believe, right? It's like we get all these things, right? So I do. You reminded me, that movie that you talked about reminds me of when I talked about the end of life experience, where they're researching the brain, and they say that they're hooking up the brain, and as someone passes away, or maybe they're going to surgery and then they die during surgery and come back. Right. Their brain isn't misfiring. Their brain isn't having a misfire and all of these things are happening. They are actively experiencing and creating new memories when this is occurring. It's not a misfire. And so for me, that's incredible. I mean, that's incredible. And from a scientific standpoint, that's insane. It's like, no, these memories are actually happening. They're seeing these things that is in front of them. It's not their brain shutting down, lack of oxygen or whatever. They are experiencing whatever this is. And sometimes there's a light that you go to. Sometimes there's a border that they can't cross. Sometimes that they see their other family members. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they only see a being that resembles God, and then they go back and it's not their time. But it's all universal.
There's a couple of things, because you touch on things and it just triggers my memory again of the book and the questions that I wanted to ask. What you were just talking about, the parts of the brain that are scientifically proven to be active during the moment of death or upon death. And you brought up a really good point in that you said that hypothetically, if we're at that point and the brain is kind of accessing areas that normally aren't accessed during our lives, that kind of bridges the gap between here and whatever there is. And you kind of made the mention of maybe the people that we call mediums, psychics, whatever, maybe they have access to that part. And I thought I literally went like, wow. I grabbed my recorder in the car. This is what I was doing, listening to your book. I would pause it. I text myself and I go, Adam Berry's book, Theory About. And I'm like, that's such a good theory, because I mean, it makes sense. It really does. If scientifically, forget about magic powers and the ability to whatever we've seen in the movie. That makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Chip Coffey always says that we're all a little bit psychic. It's what we do with it, right? And I know that as investigators, the more that we do this, right, the more that we are investigating, we sort of connect a bit differently to the energy that's in the space. And you're able to, you know, people do classes on it. You're able to meditate and like gain your psychic powers. But the theory the doctor has, which is, you know, it's factual. It's like there's a part of your brain that unlocks at the moment of death or when you're dying that you don't access until that time period. And in that moment, that's where all of those things happen, where you're seeing people that you've never seen, like you haven't seen in years. You see places, you're talking. It's an end of life experience, but it's a part of your brain that unlocks, making new memories. And so the theory that I sort of threw out there, which I mean, I feel like I should explore more, but it's what if psychics and mediums have the ability to unlock that little part of the brain that is inaccessible until that moment. And it's that theory is supported with like people who have near-death experiences and come back and all of a sudden have psychic phenomena, right? They just have psychic powers. It makes sense to me. It's like they've unlocked it and their brain refuses to let go of it because it's a treasure trove of knowledge. And a lot of us sort of suppress that. I think kids up to a point have the ability with their imaginations that continue to clock into that part of the brain. And then as you get older, where life happens and you're supposed to be old enough to know better, it sort of like dampens that moment. And I think some people keep it open. Some people close it off completely and never access it again. And then other people find ways to gain access to that. Like I think Chip did at a later age in life. I think, you know, people who have near-death experiences clock into that.
Quick question to all of this, because the more that John and I do what we do, and we do a psychic fair and we do interviews with a lot of these psychics to see, and John always asks them, when did you start to become psychic? Did you know yours? And most of, if not all of the psychic mediums that we know, there was trauma before they became psychic.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. They suffered some kind of real trauma that
something that like almost like fight or flight, like that part of your brain pops open a little bit, you know, and I don't necessarily think it is.
No, I don't necessarily.
I think it's accessible, but I think it's accessible though. I think everyone can access it if they choose to do it, and I think it's easier for some than others.
So why do you think trauma totally might make that happen for some?
Well, because it's I think your brain. Think about it this way, like your body. Well, I guess it's a hard question to answer, I guess, but I think of it this way. Your body reacts to things before you even react. Mm-hmm. So if you're driving in a car, your skin is an organ, and sometimes you're slamming on the brakes before you even realize you're slamming on the brakes, and it's because your body senses that thing. And I think with trauma and with near-death experiences, it does something to your brain. Like it creates something for you to experience that you haven't experienced before. So in a way, could that unlock something in your mind that hasn't been activated before because it's so traumatic or like earth-shattering or whatever? And then does your body and brain hold on to that door that just opened?
Yeah.
Or does it close it and say, no, I don't want, you know, and do you have a choice? Like, I don't know, maybe you don't have a choice. But yeah, I mean, I would like to, because I don't think Chip's ever talked about the moment has he talked about the moment he realized? Oh yeah, the phone call. He would tell his mom there was like a phone call happening, and there was like a thing happening. So I think maybe he just like, I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, but like maybe he's always sort of had that door open a little bit, and he just sort of cracked it and pulled it open. But then there are other people who have traumatic experiences and near-death experiences, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, no, I can really connect.
Something happens that opens.
I don't want to keep you here for 3 hours, but I have more questions,
That's
more
okay.
things to talk about, if you don't mind.
Please,
real quick to circle
please.
back to there was a friend of yours. I won't mention his name because he said he was writing a book about this, his theories and his idea of the afterlife. He was kind of on par with what you're saying, but his thinking was that when we pass, we see our version, like you said, of heaven, or the afterlife, whatever that may be. And that is only temporary to get us accustomed to actually not being alive anymore. And that once we kind of transition and accept all of our wrongdoings, and like you said, there are spirits that have unresolved issues that linger. He said, until all of that's done, we remain in that version of heaven, and then we transition to what will be the heaven for everyone, which I thought was kind of interesting because, the whole purgatory thing, it kind of fits.
It matches.
So, I mean, I just wanted to bring that up, but you had said...
No. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that theory is universal in a way because of the whole idea of purgatory, right? There's a section of time in which we pay penance for our sins and we gain points. Very Catholic of us to to go off and like do other things. I think I talk about it in the book where I say, I don't know if I talk about it in this book or if I had a conversation with somebody about. They saw somebody going on the journey. Like oh my God. I think it's in the book that my friend wrote, who talks about the Bible, where he says, Jesus or whoever, God literally left and went on the journey, right? So I imagine it being like Dungeons and Dragons, and like he's like on the map somewhere, right before us, and then we sort of deal with our own stuff, and then we get to go on this map, right? And I think I say it in the book where it's a journey where others have gone, millions of others have taken it before us. And it's sort of, let's take heed and have faith in the idea that millions and millions and millions of people before us have gone on to this thing, and they're paving the way. So we know that we can do the same thing. So I don't disagree. I think, and I also believe that that purgatory state, that heaven state that you're in beforehand, can be whatever you want it to be, maybe. And then when you get to the other level, the question is, do you continue as yourself in that other level? Or I tend to believe we become immediately connected to every single thing in our universe, everybody, right? We're back in this little ether bubble with everything else. We know everything. We're all knowing. We're with our friends. We're there. We may not be conscious in the sense that I'm Adam Berry, but no, I'm the universe, right? And then at some point you go bloop, and you come right back down, and now you're something else, or you're somebody else, and you repeat the process through reincarnation, or the idea that like. So
you think souls are recycled? You do believe in past lives?
I think, sure. I mean, I think it would be an interesting idea. Do I think it's our complete soul? Like, I don't know. I mean,
it's a tough one for me. It really
I've had past life. Yeah, I've had past life regression done, and
what about deja vu that you can't explain?
No, he mentioned his past life regression, and they were dead on.
Could be Matrix. Yeah, and they were dead on, and like could be the Matrix. Could be the Matrix. Hey. I mean,
you had mentioned again another thing in the book that I thought was very, really interesting, because I feel the same way you do when it comes to this. the common question that people have for people that do what we do. Now, again, I lost my mom and my sister 4 years apart, and they were the most important people in the world to me, besides my kids and of course Chris. And my mom was seeing things at the end. I would literally walk into her room in the nursing home, and she would be talking to someone, and she would introduce me to them and say, "You remember John? John, this is whoever." And I would just sit there with a smile on my face, and she would tell me who they were and that they came to visit, and they told her all about their kids. And I knew that that person was gone, but I wasn't sure if it was, again, my brain is it trauma? Is it just preparing? Is it dementia? Or is it really happening? And I would never try to communicate with my mom via Estee method, spirit box, EVP. I would never do that. Because, and
I would not either. I don't either.
And that's what I want to, you mentioned that in the book and you give your reasons. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So listen, if my family, my grandmother specifically, they know what I'm doing for a living. If they're intelligent and they're around, they know what I'm doing. They have a direct line. They have a direct access. So if they ever wanted to reach out, they will do it on their own time and their own purpose, right? Their own merit. I don't feel the need to reach out for them because I want their experience on the other side to be theirs specifically. If they reached out to need something or want something, by all means, I'm going to be right there trying to help out, but it's not for me to decide. And I know for a fact that even though I don't have a recorder or a K2 meter or like the spirit box doing Estes reaching out for them, I know that if something comes up and makes me think of them, they're immediately with me. They're immediately with me. Or if I go to their gravesite, they're immediately with me. And it's not to say that they're physically in spirit form with me, but their energy is alive. It's in me. It's that whole like line. He lives
part
in
of you.
It's the whole Lion King thing, right? Like I totally get it. And so I'm not going to outwardly search for them just because I know that they know if they wanted to reach out, they could, and they would.
Well, in the book, you say that you're afraid they wouldn't answer, and B, that you were afraid that they need something that you couldn't help them with.
Right, which would be traumatizing. That's why I tell people, who want to reach out for their family members, I say, listen, by all means, do what you want to do, but be very careful because, especially if you haven't investigated a lot, if the thing that happens in front of you is you're like, oh my God, that's them, right? And then it happens again every day, let's say for a week. And then all of a sudden it stops happening. The first thought is, why aren't they here? Second thought is, did I do something to offend them? The third thought is, can I get them back? And to me, it's a very tricky, slippery slope because it might not have been them at all, but what if it is, okay? And they've left because they've gotten everything that they've needed. You sort of have to grieve again. You've grieved the loss of them the first time, and then here they are back in front of you, and you're having activity and you're having interaction and you're getting closure and you're getting answers. Then all of a sudden it stops.
Right.
Then you grieve once more.
Right.
At the idea that they are really gone. They're finitely, like literally gone. And like, I think it ebbs and flows with different people. I think some people would love the chance to have that. I just had a friend of mine who was able to reach out to his mother, and the activity seems very, on the level, right? But he's not the person to sit there and go, I need this every day, right? He was like, I did this once and I got what I needed and I'm okay with it. And it's compelling. Like, evidence is compelling, right? He put things in place to make sure that it wasn't going to be false readings, and it was, it just seemed appropriate. But then there are other people who just are desperately seeking those answers, and then the second that it doesn't happen, it's like,
reliving the trauma
Gutted.
all over again.
Yeah.
And you
So-
bring up a really good point about that,
Chasing.
because you did touch on that in the book, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said about
No, please.
you think in terms of I'm someone who lost, so I hypothetically I go to a medium, and if I was a certain type of personality, and I got messages from my mom again, who my sister, who I would love that opportunity.
Yeah.
Why, being as people who loved and lost, I get the opinion of, yeah, going back again and again and again. But if you could pick up a phone every day and call your grandmother, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. But I also know that where she is something that I can't explain. Like, I have no idea what that's like.
Right.
And I want her to have the ability to do what she needs to do. I don't want her to feel like she has to hang on to this world because of me. You
Gotcha.
know? It's like, yes. But I also think, though, John, every time you think of your sister, every time you think of your mom, they're there.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
They're there. And so it isn't, and it's on equal grounds, right? You're not asking, you're not asking for anything. You're just saying, hi, I miss you.
Right.
Thinking of you. And when you get those little signs about your day, like sometimes you're going through your day and all of a sudden, it happens to me, something will remind me of my grandmother. I'm like, oh my God, my grandmother. Immediately.
Right.
I'm like, that's a way for me to connect with her where I'm not, where I don't need like 1,000%. Yes, she's right here standing next to me. No, she is. Right. You know.
No, I get, and these signs are a big thing with me. I'm not real religious, and I don't, but have a lot of faith in a lot of things. But there are times when I reach out to my mom and my sister in times of trouble. This happened recently. We go to this place and we investigate haunted objects. One of these things was a cross that had JHS on it. And I'm not religious, so I had no idea what that meant. I had to Google it, and I found out what it meant. And this is before Walter went in for his cancer surgery. I was scared. I was nervous. He's 12 and a half. I thought I was going to lose him. I was upset. And I'm walking him the day before I'm taking him to the vet for surgery. And I'm thinking of my mom, and I'm thinking of my sister. And I'm like, God, if you guys have any pull with anybody, please help. They knew Walter. I'm like, help Walter. And I kid you not. And I will raise my hand on a stack of Bibles. There was a car. You know how people write "wash me" on cars? This car on the hood had a cross with the letters JHS. And I literally stopped dead in my tracks, and I felt so good. You know what I mean? And I actually said out loud, thank you. I know you're here. Thank you.
Signs from the universe. I mean, my friend Casey passed away, and the day of his memorial, I walked down to go somewhere in Provincetown, and I get to an alleyway and I look up to my right, which is the beginning of where he used to work. And there's a monarch butterfly just like floating and flying. And I'm like, I don't see them often. I mean, I hear they're endangered. I don't know. But like, I don't see them often. And this thing is like flying in my face. And I like reach out my finger, and I'm looking at where he worked, and he literally gets close to my finger, like it's going to land on my finger, but it's long enough for me to go, oh, that's Casey.
Yeah.
Oh, like I just knew it was.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I thought that, it goes, and it flew back around the building, making sure that I was still looking at where he used to work. And I'm like, wild. That's just a wild thing. And so I think there are signs we get from the other side that are very specific, whether it's animals or synchronicities about the writing and the visualization, or dimes or pennies, or
definitely
wind chimes in a house so there's no wind.
And I don't want to go too deep in this because I don't want to upset you and upset me, but I'm literally listening to the part of your book where you're talking about your dog and you being in Salem, and I'm walking Walter. I'm walking Walter as as I'm listening to this, and he still has his shaved backside and the scar, and he still has to go through chemo. And I'll be honest with you, I was this close to tears as I'm listening to that. And man, that was a tough one. That was a tough one.
Listen, I made it. I read that book, and I made it through that part without stopping, and you can hear me choking up in that moment. And I didn't want to stop, because every time I read that section, and the section with my grandmother like visited me in the dream. When I wrote that section, I was sobbing, and I remember crying about Maria. And the thing about it is, it just sucks. It sucks so bad that these little spirits get to come and be with you, and they are unconditionally yours for a brief period of time. And and then you have to say goodbye to them.
Yeah. That is the cruelest joke of the universe right there.
It sucks.
And they give you so much. They get you through hard things.
Everything.
They give emotional support.
Yeah. They don't know. That's why I can't. People being cruel to animals is they are the worst fucking people in the world. So the thing is, I never thought once that happened, once Maria passed, and there was even this crisis apparition moment where Ben saw her running into the room as a little, he literally saw her running, and he was like, I see her. She's on your leg, jumping, and I'm holding her after she's passed. And I thought I was dying. I thought I had a heart attack. I've never felt anything like it my entire life. Yeah. And I didn't think. I was like, I don't, how long till we get another dog? And we waited a year, and we got little Buddy, and he's the cutest thing in the world. Yeah. This is his little face right now. He's a cutie. And he's the cutest thing, and I'm like, why am I doing this to ourselves?
Right.
And I think it's because of what we get from them is better than what it is at the end, right?
Yeah.
What we get from them, like Cheeto, little Sun Pig. Those of you listening know Sun Pig. He'll be 18 November 7th.
Oh my God.
He is, and every day we see a little bit of something that says, there's not a lot of time, but he still eats. He may we call him Dementia Daddy. He may walk around, we don't know. But what he has given us in 18 years, even though when it happens, it's going to gut us.
Right.
It's going to kill us.
Right.
But what he's given us is far more important and magical than the end of his life. And I'm not saying, we may or may not be getting a third before he goes. I can't say out loud, but I don't know. Because it's a long story, but details to follow.
I'm literally listening to that as I'm walking him, and I'm looking at him, and I'm listening to your words, and I'm feeling your emotion, and I'm thinking about him, and I'm just like, oh, don't, not here.
Yeah,
I'm in a park.
It's honestly
walking around, and I'm like, don't.
That's because
don't
you
there.
can connect to
don't
his
go
pain.
there.
You can connect to what he would because
100%.
of what you're going
I love Walter more than anything.
Yeah, and also those every time I open Facebook and someone's giving me the last day of their dog's life, I am because I know what they're going through. I know what they're thinking.
Let's switch gears to the last.
Please.
So we don't end on that. You mentioned something else that I think not a lot of people say, and I give you a lot of credit for this, because there aren't a lot of people that'll just come out and say that they don't think that the living can force the dead or the spirit to cross over. And I think there's a lot of people out there who believe that that's possible. I don't, but I was happy to hear you say it and your explanation and your thoughts behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very selfish thing for anyone to believe that they can say, I'm going to do this certain thing and that spirit is going to go on to the other side. Because A, you have zero clue what they're dealing with. B, you are not dead. You have zero clue how they operate in the environment in which they exist. C, it is selfish not to hear them out and listen to them. And D, if someone was in your space who was living, who came to you and said, I needed your help, and you just went, go, vanish, you're gone. Like, so rude. It's just so rude. So, I mean, like, more power to you if you think you can do that. But I think you're full of shit, and I don't think you can. And that's just like, that's literally like for real. Like, I don't think you can do it. And prove to me that you can, and you can't prove it, because we have gone through many cases where people are like, oh, we asked them to cross over and blah, blah, blah. And yet there they are again, right? Yep. Looking for help, wondering help. We have found, because people are always like, well, do you cross over the spirits? Right. This is what we do. We enter the investigation. We find out who they are, what they need, and what they want to the best of our ability. We try to offer that to them. Right. And then we let them do their own thing. Eventually, the idea is they, on their own terms, in the environment in which they exist, will go on to their next journey. But you can't force it. And I even think Chip Coffey tells a story. He drops the only F-bomb in my book. It tells a story where he did an investigation where these girls were like crying and weeping and sent in an investigation, telling this ghost to cross over. And the ghost literally said "F you" on a recorder to them. And he was like, I thought it was so funny, or whatever he said, like, because it's true. It's like, let it just, it's so weird.
That was the laugh out loud moment in the shower too, because you did the voice and I heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard
fuck out. I think he's like, fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, what's crazy is like, I love people. Listen, I love people looking for, and I'm not saying that it is not possible, right? But I think 100% of the time, people are crossing over spirits to make themselves feel important in this life. They feel like they have the ability to do something in which they feel important. And they're like, I am important and I can do this and I am going to do this. And what I would ask those people is, if that is such an important cause, why don't you redirect your energy to finding out what it is they actually need and want, and give it to them, and then let them decide. Stop saying, oh, I'm going to cast you out. You're not a demonologist. You don't work for the Vatican. You're not ordained. You aren't crossing over demons. You're talking about mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncles who exist just like you did. And if somebody came to me and I was a ghost and they were like, I'm going to cross you over, I would do everything I could to flip a table and make it look like we're in the Conjuring house. Okay. Yeah. I would lose my brain. So, I mean, I just don't, I think it's insensitive. And, you know, if you strongly believe that you can do it, more power to you. I'd say show me the receipts, Diane. Yeah. Show me the receipts.
Now, I give you credit for saying it. One place we're not going to be crossing spirits over, Sterling Hill Mine on September 27th.
I can't wait to go back. I can't wait. It's always a good 50 degrees in the mine. Which is
56
incredible.
Degrees constant. Yeah.
Look, I wrote this out. I wrote this out. Yeah, I wrote this out. Adam Berry Events. I know it's backwards, but AdamBerryEvents.com. Right now, if you use the code NJP, you can get a discount on the Sterling Hill Mine investigation, general admission, and the Liberty Hall talk, which is very different than the mine. We're not investigating Liberty Hall. It is my campfire ghost stories, which I may talk about some of the things I talked about tonight, but like in a story format. I'm very excited, honestly. Spooky season is my favorite season, and by mid-October, I'm always like, why did I do this to myself? Because I'm doing so many things. However, I really hope that y'all can come out to that and come out to Para Unity, obviously the first weekend in November, not second weekend in November.
It's November
It's not-
8th. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not we're not Halloween, but we're the weekend after.
The weekend, right.
But please come, like, and tell your friends, and hopefully you guys will post a little bit about Sterling Mine for me if you don't mind.
So real quick, just because you guys were talking about certain things tonight, the theme. No, I'm not going to say anything. The theme of
What was
Saturday's
she saying?
party.
She usually asks.
No,
she asks.
I'm not going to do that. To
well, now we brought it up. You have to.
You brought it up, but I want to finish.
Well, say your thing and then ask me. Say your thing and then ask me.
Go ahead.
There's a theme for Saturday night that's geared towards what you guys were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Funny enough.
Now tell me.
Wait, so for the party?
Yes.
For the VIP party.
Yes.
Can't wait. I love the group that we're with that night. I mean, that's a party group. That's a party group for Saturday night.
Yeah.
100%. So what I usually ask everyone that comes on, and I make John cringe, if there's something
This is a Regis and Kelly question
that is
I'm
not
ready.
public, that most people don't know, maybe Ben knows, whether it be a hobby or a secret passion or something that nobody publicly knows about you that would surprise them. Such as we found out one celebrity was named after a horse.
You know Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sherry is named after a horse.
Yes, we found that out on an interview.
See, I get the goods.
I mean, this is it's public because it was in the newspapers, but I don't think people know about this. I mean, it was in the newspapers if you look up, but I was born 3 months early. So I was supposed to be born in May. Like end of May. and I was born March 9th. Wow. So I was born premature, almost 3 months. I weighed like nothing, like literally smaller than a chihuahua. And my father he would hold me and put his finger in my head, like in between his two hands. That's how small I was. Wow. Yeah. And I was born and my dad they said, go to the hospital. But my dad took that upon himself to like follow the ambulance. And he was going 120 miles an hour from Muscle Shoals, Alabama to Huntsville. And then I spent the first month and a half of my life in an incubator, literally growing my organs. And they said he probably won't be able to breathe on his own. He may have some mental defects. I mean, that's true. But he said, they said all of these things, and little did they know. I went to school for musical theater. I can sing my tits off. I can breathe. I have a personality. I don't think I'm that insane. I'm insane as the rest of us. But that's just a little tidbit. My life started with an uncertainty, that came, here I am, whatever. Here we are.
Well, not quite being named after.
That's fine. Yeah. And also if you find the article, there's literally an article about it, and my dad is like.
But do you know how rare it is that you're born 3 months premature?
Well, especially especially in 1983, I also had.
Yeah.
I also had 3 blood transfusions in 1983.
Oh my God.
And they didn't test the blood for HIV/AIDS during that time. So there could have been a number of things. Yes. But here I am today.
So you're a little miracle.
Here. Thanks.
Wow.
I was the size of this little.
I can't believe that. That's crazy. Thank you, Adam, for doing this. I appreciate.
Listen, thank you. This is wonderful. I always enjoy my time with you guys, and I know I'll see you very soon in September, Sterling Hill Mines, and
buy the book. Goodbye, hello.
Oh yeah,
we covered about that much of it.
Oh.
There's so much more in that.
I should say this for those of you who already have the hardback and you've listened to the audiobook. The paperback book, which is out now, has a brand new chapter 13, and it's something that happened to me while I was recording the audiobook. and it goes along with the dream chapter. And it is something so substantial that when I told my publisher about it, she said, I'm physically sitting on the floor because I could not make it to my chair. And she said, if this goes to paperback, can you write me another chapter? And I said, absolutely. And so it's in the book.
So you have an addendum in your paperback.
It is.
Well, now I feel like I got ripped off because I just listened to the thing. I finished it yesterday.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You got to go get the paperback. I'll have the paperback at New Jersey Para Unity.
Oh, good.
But it is good. That chapter literally blows. It is so crazy. It's so crazy. I wish I could tell you, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
No, don't spoil it.
All right, well, buy the book. You get the book wherever books are available.
Wherever. Oh, and listen to my podcast, This Haunted Life. Please. Okay. We got it.
All right, Adam.
Six
we'll
episodes.
See you in a few weeks.
I'll see you later.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Well, there you go. That went a lot longer than I thought it would.
It was a great interview.
I'm happy he stayed on because we really did. We went through about half of my notes for that interview, believe it or not. I mean, I have more on here. I have more on my laptop. I was just kind of going as we were talking to try to cover as many points as I could.
But he gave some great nuggets.
Oh, there's so much more in that book, though. Buy the book if you
the paperback, so you can get the addendum of the extra story. I mean, that right there kind of has me intrigued.
Yeah. Again, good read, lots of good theories, makes you think. And in the paranormal field, you really should open yourself up to a lot of different ideas and a lot of different theories. So thank you guys for watching. When we're back on tomorrow night, believe it or not, threefer, we'll be at the Creeper Gallery, which is in New Hope, Pennsylvania, investigating haunted objects live. That's right. Haunted objects live investigation tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. from inside the Creeper Gallery in New Hope, Pennsylvania.
Don't forget the Sterling Hill Mine with Adam on September.
AdamBerryEvents.com.
Yep. And what September what?
September 27th.
You hear that? Interesting. Very interesting.
That'll be at the Expo, November 8th, New Jersey Para Unity. Thanks for watching.
Have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please, please remember to be kind to each other. It makes the difference.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.